menu planning for the beginners, right? Planning you is based on the basics and on the actual hotel operation process, how it takes place. So first thing for menu, you need to know what actually is a menu, right? Hope everyone is audible to me.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So
You are audible.
menu is a detailed list of food items served in a food establishment. Now, this food establishment can be a fast food outlet, like it can be a Domino's or McD or Burger King, any fast food outlet. It can be a multi cuisine restaurant. It can be a specialty restaurant. It can be a buffet restaurant. It can be a canteen. It can be a hospital menu. It can be a banquet menu. It can be a kitty party menu. It can be a high tea menu. Right? Now, menus are have to be planned as per the meals. It can be for breakfast. It can be for lunch. It can be for brunch and dinner. Also for the AMT and PMT. Now, how many people understand the word brunch over here? How many people you know about the brunch?
Yes, sir, I know about French.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
So
I know.
brunch is actually a complete meal which comprises of breakfast items as well as lunch items.
Lunch, I
Similarly, AMT and PMT are the snacks being offered along with tea and coffee. AMT is in the morning session after the breakfast, and PMT is after the lunch but before the dinner time, right? So evenings is the PMT. So AMT and PMT, hope you have understood. Now, whenever you are planning any menu, you have to consider the basic things first of all. Number one is whether the menu is a veg or a non-veg. The menu you have to plan has to be vegetarian or a non-vegetarian. This is the first thing you have to check when anyone tells you plan a menu, right? So first you have to take care of the important things. Number one, whether the menu is a veg or a non-veg. So you have to clear on this aspect. Now you have to gather the information as to who are the guests for whom the menu has to be prepared. You cannot just make a menu like that. You should know whether the guests are Indian or whether the guests are foreigners or the guests are a group of children or it is a local family or a mixed crowd or a regional crowd or a regional crowd. When I say these things, then you get a basic idea that for whom you are going to plan a menu. Now, when I say a regional guest or a regional crowd, so you need to understand that supposing you are working in a hotel in Gujarat, right? Now, the guest for whom you are planning the menu is a South Indian. So obviously you have to go and ask the guest or you have to speak to the service associate or the service captain what the guest wants. So you have to first take the views of the guest, what he wants. If he is a South Indian and if he wants to have South Indian food, then your menu has to be South Indian. If a guest is a Gujarati, then you have to plan a Gujarati menu for him. So these are the basic things which you need to understand, right? Uh, hold on. मीटिंग में हूँ. Right. Now, second thing is, when planning a menu, you have to look at the budget pricing. Means, what is the budget for the pricing? I mean, at which category? You cannot simply plan a menu. The rates has to be around, say, 400 rupees or 200 rupees or 700 rupees. So with the rates, accordingly, you have to plan the menu. You cannot just plan a menu like that only. If you have to plan a simple menu, a basic menu for 4 guests, right? So you need to understand what is the budget component. If it is 500 rupees, so accordingly you have to plan the menu. If the budget is say 200 rupees or 250 rupees, then accordingly again you have to think and you have to plan, because menu planning is not a small thing. It's something where you require experience on the basic things, how they go, how they work, and how the menu knowledge has to be there. Now also, apart from this, while planning a menu, the cooking skills of the staff have to be considered. Why? Because say you plan a menu and your kitchen team doesn't know how to make it. So you should be aware what the kitchen team can cook. You cannot simply write down the name of a dish and say, yes, I have made the menu. And when the cooks, they are asked to cook, they are not able to cook. So you have to also see what skills your kitchen team is having. Accordingly, you have to plan the menu. Apart from this, you also have to look at the availability of the raw material. If raw material is not available, say some ingredient is not there with you, so you cannot make that dish. Am I right? Supposing you are making any soup in which, say, tofu has to be there. And if tofu is not available in the hotel, you cannot serve that dish. So availability of raw material is very, very important. Supposing you have planned for a dish of mushrooms and mushrooms are not available in your kitchen. So you have to skip that thing. You cannot put it. Or you have put some vegetable made with jackfruit, what we call kathal, and that is not available in the kitchen or not in the market. So you cannot put that thing. You also have to see what is available, what is the time. Is the menu being planned for today lunch or for today dinner or after 2 days or 3 days? And what is the availability in the market of the local items? You also have to ensure whether you are going to get the supply or not. Accordingly, you have to put the dishes. So availability of raw material is also very, very important. Then when we talk about the menu, we also have to think what type of service guest requires, whether it is a la carte menu, which will be served in entree bowls. So you have to see whether you have the proper entree bowls or whether it is a pre-plated meal. When I talk about pre-plated meal, then you should know, you should have proper plates, proper dishes in which you have to serve the food. You should have proper presentation. You should have proper garnish of the food. The menu which you are planning, it is not necessary, it may be a la carte only, or it may be pre-plated only. It can be a TDH menu also. TDH means table d'hôte menu, right? Or it can be a buffet menu, or it can be a buffet menu. So buffet menu is something again different, whether it's a veg buffet or a non-veg buffet. What is the buffet rate? Is it a multi-cuisine buffet menu or a regional cuisine menu or a mixed menu? So you have to look at all these aspects. Apart from this, color combination is very, very important whenever you are planning a basic menu. You have to see, supposing you have planned 4 dishes in a menu. So you have to see that the color contrast, color combination of the dishes which you have planned in your menu are not the same. All the dishes should not be red. All the dishes should not be brown. All the dishes should not be green. So you have to carefully plan your menu, and for the basic startups, I mean, for the beginners, when you plan a menu, always after writing the name of the dish, try to write in bracket the color of the dish also, so it will be helping for you. So you can write, say, if you are giving paneer butter masala, so you know the gravy has to be red. So in the bracket you can write red. Right? Now you are giving another dish, say you are giving aloo gobi matar. So it's a dry vegetable, and the color is basically yellowish, where you can put the garnish of, say, tomatoes or coriander, right? Then dal, yellow dal or dal makhni, whatever you are putting there. So you can write the color of the dish also. So then once you have planned your menu, you are aware that the all the dishes that you have planned, the color code is different for all the dishes. Hope you have understood this thing.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now also when planning a menu, you have, apart from this color combination, you have to plan the dishes in such a way that all the dishes are not gravy based, or all the dishes are not dry. So one dish you can plan in gravy, another dish you can plan in semi gravy, one dish you can put in the menu which is dry, or which is fried, or which is grilled or steamed cook. So apart from the color combination, the consistency of the dish as far as the gravy part is concerned also plays a very important role. All the dishes cannot be in gravy. Some can be in gravy, some can be in semi gravy, some can be a dry, right? Like mixed veg dry or anything. So hope this basic thing you have understood now. Color combination and the food body part. Food body part means the different way in which the dish gives a appeal as far as the body is concerned. It's in a gravy or a semi gravy or a dry, right? Is this okay?
Right.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, the menus, for the menus, you should also know what are the basic types of menus. Now, the basic type of menus, when I say, So it can be a la carte. Now, a la carte is a French phrase, means from the menu. Means from the menu. From the menu. From the menu. Or you can say, in English, you can say it's according to the menu. A la carte is a French word. In English, you can say according to the menu. Now, another thing is the du jour menu. Du jour means of the day. Means today's special or menu of the day. Right? Then is the cyclic menu. Cyclic menu, when I say, so cyclic menu means it has repeated options over a specific period of time. Are you getting me what I am saying?
Yes, sir.
So cyclic menu has repeated options over a specific period of time, and cyclic menus are generally made for the buffet restaurants, are made for the buffets or for the staff canteens or for your cyclic TDH menus also. Cyclic TDH menus can be also cyclic. TDH menus can also be cyclic. Now then is a static menu. When I say static menu means it's a huge menu. It's a huge menu. A la carte menu may be a small 5-course menu or a 1-page menu. But when I say static menu, it means it's a complete menu with options as per the menu orientation. Menu outline means soup, salad, starters, main course, dessert. Yes, Suhail. So static menu is a larger menu where you have wide options of soups, starters, salads, main course, desserts. If there is Chinese, so there are options for the Chinese starters, main course, desserts. So it's a huge menu comprising of too many items, and the category wise also you find the complete details in a static menu. Now such menus are not changed regularly. They are changed say every year, or maybe it may take some more time for the establishment or the hotel or the restaurant to change it. Now in such menus the customer experience is consistent. Now you must have seen many restaurants where they have consistency in the dishes. I mean, if you eat the biryani, you find the same taste. So they keep the same menu and they change after a year or more than that. Then is the fixed menu. Now, fixed menu means a menu having a fixed cost. It can be a TDH menu. It can be a TDH menu with soup, starter, main course, limited items, and there will be a fixed cost. Such TDH menus can have appetizers, entrees, desserts, right? Now, whenever you are making such menus, you also have to ensure whether the menu is for the food or the beverage. Because in beverage, generally your starters are served and limited options of main course are there. So beverage menu, alcoholic, non-alcoholic is something different. Cocktail menu is different. So generally for the beverage menu, the starters are mostly there. Small combo meals are there. Biryanis, small, I mean, Limited items are there. Now, menu categories. When I speak about menu categories, then the physical menu is reflected in menu categories. When you are planning a menu, say you are planning a menu for a restaurant, as I said about a static menu. So the physical menu should be reflected. When I say physical menu should be reflected, means the basic setting has to be there. For example, the head should be, say, soups, salads, main course, desserts. So these are the menu categories, right? Now, when you are planning any menu, you have to ensure that the description should be concise. The description should be concise. So, writing the name of a dish and then writing the description of the dish plays a very important role. In very short limited words, you have to write the description of the dish. You have to write the description of the dish. So when you are writing the description of the dish, you should have adequate knowledge about what you are writing, because it will give a complete idea to the guest as to what is there in that particular dish that is mentioned in the menu. So menu description, hope you have understood now, or should I give more example for this?
No, sir. We understand.
Yes, chef.
Okay.
We understand.
Now, how many of you can write the descriptions of the dishes, the basic descriptions of the dishes?
For an example, paneer butter masala. So it
Yes.
means cottage cheese in Indian gravy, or we can say with Indian herbs and spices.
Hmm. Hmm. Now, again, what you are saying is not adequate. This is not adequate, means this description, what you are saying is not proper. Am I right? So this is a very important thing. The menu description is very important. And this is the main thing which will make a guest understand. Now say how you are going to describe this. Tell me.
Curd. It means various kind of pakodi, chef, or any specific.
Dahi pakodi, I am saying. Dahi pakodi is there in the menu. Now you have to write the description of dahi pakodi. How you are going to write the description? Can anyone tell me? Be fast, huh?
A crunchy pakodi with curd.
No. Basically, it's lentil dumplings soaked in spiced beaten curd. Is it okay?
Okay, chef.
Okay, sir.
So the description should give a basic idea of what actually the dish is. For example, I say दाल तड़के वाली, दाल तड़के वाली. So the description for dal tadke wali can be combination of lentils gently cooked and tempered with tomatoes, cumin, spices and fresh coriander. Right?
Yes, chef.
Right.
If I say bundi kadhi is written in the menu. You have to give a description. So you can say gram flour pulse simmered in tempered yogurt curry. Is it okay?
Yes, chef.
Okay. Yes, sir.
If I say tari wale rajma, so you can just simply write whole red kidney beans cooked with tomatoes, spices and fresh coriander. If you have mentioned khatti meethi sabji and you have to give a description for khatti meethi sabji, so you will simply say a sweet and sour vegetable. So these are the basics. Unless and until you know the basics, you cannot plan a menu. Because what is the basic ingredient for this you should know. Then only you can. I am giving you 2-3 more examples. Say murg kali mirch, a very common dish. Murg kali mirch, when I say, so the description can be chicken mirch. Description can be chicken pepper fry, chicken fried with crushed pepper and herbs. A chettinad you can say. If you want, you can add. So, say, if I say murg malai kebab, now murg malai kebab, how you are going to describe? Can anyone give me a basic answer? Murg malai kebab, how you are going to give a description of murg malai kebab? Hope you must be knowing murg malai kebab.
Yes, chef.
So when you are writing murg malai kebab, so the description will be boneless chicken breast marinated in a rich cardamom flavored yogurt, charcoal grilled. Now this description you can write only when you know the recipe of the dish, only when you know the color combination of the dish, only when you know the garnish of the dish. So every food item has got its own garnish, which you people should be aware of. Which you people should be aware of. It's very simple, but when the description has to be written, you have to think in such a way that adequate tandoori roti. What you have to write for a tandoori roti? May I tell you?
Chef, can I?
Yes, tell me. Regards to the menu descriptions, I will put a mail with a list of basic items food description which you can take from your GM, sir. Is it okay?
Yes, chef.
Yes, sir.
I will send you the menu description list to the GM, to the principal, and you can take a copy of that, and accordingly you can prepare the basic things which are required for you people.
Thank you, chef.
Right? Now, apart from this, apart from menu descriptions, you also need to ensure that the basic senses have to be ignited in the menu. When I say the basic senses have to be ignited in the menu means whether a particular dish which you have mentioned in the menu is a fairy, it's savory, or it's crispy, or it's fairy means hot, right? So say chili paneer. So chili paneer has to be little more spicy. So you have to write, either you put a chili sign across the name of the dish, or you can write in brackets fairy, right? Similarly, crispy corn or crispy salt and pepper. So you should not simply write salt and pepper, you should write crispy. So when you write crispy, the guest has a proper idea, yes, this thing is crispy. If you want to have something spicy, if there are signages of 2 chilies or 3 chilies, so he understands that this is spicy. So if you go through the menus, you will find most of the dishes, there is a mark of say 1 chili or 2 chilies or 3 chili. 3 chilies, if you find a signage, means they are very spicy. 2 chilies means moderate spicy. 1 chili means very. So this igniting the senses. So in the dishes also you can mention this thing. Similarly, say some dishes may be no onion, no garlic. So you can also mention the same thing along with the dish in brackets, no onion, no garlic. So it is important not only from the part of your menu planning, but also it's easy for the cooks to understand, yes, if it's written no onion, no garlic, so they know that this dish is without onion garlic. So by mistake also they will not put the onion and garlic in that dish. Okay. So these are the basics. Now, apart from this, when planning menus, you should also know what is the for a la carte, what is the crockery to be used. Say for pasta, the pasta cannot be served in a normal half plate or a dinner plate. Pasta has to be served in a pasta dish only. So you should be knowing how it is served, on which dish it is served. Entree bowls are there. So you should know which entree bowl, what has to be served. If one portion is of food is there, so you cannot serve it in a 2-portion bowl. These are the basics. 1-portion bowl has to be served in a 1-portion entree bowl only. If a starter is there, any starter, veg or non-veg, so you should know as per the standards of the hotel which platter you have to take. There are different platters. For tandoori starters, the platters are different. For Chinese, they are different. For Indian, they are different. Right? So you should know. And never do a mix and match that I could not find this thing. Always plan your things well in advance and then accordingly proceed. Like you plan a menu as per the skills of your staff, as per the availability of the ingredients, as per the requirement. of the guest, likes and dislikes. Similarly, the crockery, the platters, the entree bowls, the serving dishes need to be checked well in advance, so at the last minute there is no confusion. If the platters are there, so you have to take platters as per matching with your starters. You cannot serve one portion starter in a two portion platter, because the platter will look empty, it will not look good. Then the garnishes are very, very important for any food. After the food is cooked and placed in a serving dish, you should have adequate knowledge about the garnish pattern. So for all these things, I will be sending one one menu specification chart to your principal, sir, and you can take a copy and I will request him to make you understand also. Now this menu specification chart which I will email will consist of list of items, their description, portion size, garnish, time taken to cook, what are the service accompaniments to be given with that dish. For example, a chicken burger or a vegetable burger is being in the menu which has to be cooked and served. So in the column you will find the serving accompaniments. So what goes with the burger? French fries, tomato sauce, mustard sauce. So these you will find in this food menu specification detail list, right? Then what are the kitchen, I mean the serving dishes, in which dish a particular item has to go. Then from the service point of view and also from your point of view, what are the F&B requirements? I mean the spoon has to be served, the fork has to be served, right? A soup spoon has to be served. So cutlery, crockery requirements. Then the pic of the dish, the photograph of the dish will also be there in the kitchen menu specification chart. Then the price of the dish. What is the price of the dish? And then how much time it will take to cook and be served to the guest. So that time part is also very important. Say for soups, the average standard time is 10 to 12 minutes for soups. In 10 minutes, a soup has to be served to a guest. Right? So this specification chart I will mail. Your GM sir will make you understand on this specification chart. If there is anything, we can discuss in our next meeting regarding the same. Also,
Sir.
apart from this menu, you should know before planning that how much portion size menu you require to make. Is it a one portion you require to cook, or two portions, or three portions? Accordingly, you have to do the indenting of the items, what all ingredients you will require. You should know the portion size of the dish. Can anyone tell me what is the standard portion size of a particular dish? Main course, can anyone tell me? Yes, Akshay?
Hello.
Yes, tell me.
Sir, maybe this portion size is 200 gram per portion.
Okay, okay. Now see, it varies. It varies. The portion size of a dish can be from 180 to 220 grams. The portion size of a dish has to be from 180 to 220 grams. And for the sizzlers, the ideal weight should be between 300 to 350 grams. Noted?
Yes, chef.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, for all of you, since you all are the beginners, whenever you are planning a menu, always first check for yourself what is the availability of the raw material. Always plan a simple basic menu. Don't go for high-end items. Simple basic items, when I say, it can be a tomato soup, it can be a cream of mushroom soup. These are basics. It can be a paneer kadai, a mixed veg dry, or aloo capsicum, or aloo jeera, or dal tadka, peas pulao, or jeera pulao, or vegetable pulao. These are the basic things. Now, supposing you have composed a small menu, say with one soup, one starter, 3 main course items, or 4 main course items, and one dessert. That is more than enough for you. One
Excuse me,
starter,
chef.
one. Yes.
Sir, sorry for interrupt you. Can I ask you a question?
Pardon?
Can I ask you a question with your permission?
Yes, please.
Sir, as per you told me that as a beginner, so should we go with the a la carte menu or table menu?
See, for what you require these menus, first of all, tell me.
For the small restaurant.
Okay. Now, it depends upon the instructions passed to you by your head, your lecturer, or your principal. If you are making a menu for your food trial, then this is what I am telling you right now. If you are giving a
Okay,
food
fine.
trial, then plan one starter, one soup, one salad, 3 main course or 4 main course items, and one dessert. A soup can be a simple soup. It can be a tomato soup. It can be a cream of tomato soup. It can be a coconut tomato sorba. It can be tomato dhania sorba. It can be a cream soup. Cream soups are all base is same. Only thing is the stock has to be ready. Basic stock has to be made in advance. Cream soups you
Okay,
can
chef.
do nicely. Cream soups you can do. The basic vegetable stock has to be ready. The cream soup you can do all. I mean, it can be cream of asparagus or cream of mushroom or cream of chicken, anything. Salads also, basic salads you can do. It can be a tossed salad. It can be a Russian salad. It can be a Waldorf salad. Right? Then a starter, a simple starter you can do. It can be a hara bhara kebab. It can be something on a stick like a satay or any fried stuff, say fish fingers or paneer, crispy paneer fingers or fried chicken or vegetable croquettes or fish amritsari. So you have to Plan basic things which you can do nicely. It can be a paneer makhni. So makhni gravy you make and then you make the paneer makhni. It can be a aloo jeera. Now, these things look very simple, but when you are preparing or when you are giving a food trial, that time you have to concentrate very well. Aloo jeera is a very simple dish. You ask anyone will say, oh, what's so great about it? But you need to understand, when you are making a aloo jeera, you have to ensure that your jeera tempering has to be done properly. It should not be raw. It should not be blackened. It should not be overcooked, the jeera. As the jeera crackles, you have to put the potatoes, the green chilies, salt, pepper, and you have to toss it dry. Dal tadka, a basic tadka, how to make a tadka for a boiled yellow dal is important. What consistency you are going to put in that dal is important. It should not be watery. It should not be very thick. It should be just perfect. Similarly for rice, while boiling the rice has to be boiled perfectly perfect. It cannot be overcooked. The rice should not be raw. It cannot be overcooked. So these are the things which you have to check one by one. You have to understand how much flame is required while cooking these items. Because temperings of any kind or frying any item is very important. It becomes important for any cook, any chef to monitor the gas flame. If the gas flame is high and you are making a aloo jeera and your jeera gets black, so it is spoiled, your dish is spoiled. Then either you throw it and make a new one. So better is to take a proactive approach. Keep all the misa nearby your gas range where you are cooking, and while cooking, ensure that the flame is always on a lower side, and also food is cooked well when the flame is low. So always for beginners like you, I will always suggest, always do cooking in slow flame. In slow flame, there are very less chances of getting the food burnt. I have seen many people, even chefs also, giving trials, and just because of the flame, there is a burning smell in the food. So cooking has to be done in slow flame. All your ingredients, all your items, your mise en place has to be ready, and it has to be kept near your cooking range only, which should have an access for you to cook the things in properly. So basics you have to be very strong. And when I say you have to be very strong in basics, means your cutting of raw vegetables, meats has to be proper, no shortcuts. Your boiling of things should be very proper. Boiling rice, you have to be very, very careful. You have to look at your watch also, look at the gas flame also, and you have to keep on checking, and that will give you a perfection. When making temperings for the dishes, the flame should be low. You have to check how much time does it take to crackle or to cook, and then accordingly you should proceed with the recipe. Similarly, while boiling the eggs, you should know how much time it takes to boil an egg. Boiling potatoes, you should know that once the potatoes are done, they should not be overcooked, they should not be raw. And as the potatoes are boiled, the water should be discarded away. It should not be kept with the potatoes. Sir, it is cooling. The potatoes will absorb all the water and the potatoes will spoil. So these are the basic fundamentals. And initially when you work or will be working in the kitchen, you will be given these jobs only. You will be given the jobs of cutting, chopping, boiling, frying, grinding, right?
Right. Right. Sir.
Cutting the garnishes. So here no shortcuts, because once you know how to manage the gas flame as per the dish, you will never be disappointed in all what you cook. Right? So always plan nicely, always plan simple things, and look for the basic taste using the basic authentic recipes. Don't go beyond that. Don't cross your limits. Be in this thing. The food should not be very spicy or very mild or salty or less salty. It should be just perfect. If there is anything which is less in the food, any seasoning is less, it can be added. But ensure that if you have cooked a dish and it is salty, so it is spoiled, you cannot do anything. But if a salt is on a lower side, you can add on the salt. So these are the basics while working in the kitchen. Your eyes should be wide open. You should know what is happening, what all is cooking. Your eyes should be always there. Similarly, frying is also very, very important, because most of the time you will find the oil has burnt up. So you should know at what temperature I should put something in the oil for frying. If the oil is burning and you put French fries, the fries will get brown from outside, but they will be raw from inside. It will have a this thing, a black coating from outside. It will have a burnt smell from outside. There will be a complaint. So basics, basics and basics. Go for the basics. Never do anything in a hurry. And this is only possible when you people work in a very sensible manner and work with proper planning how you are going to do your job. So this is very, very important. Now also when you are working in a kitchen, you are doing a menu planning, so other people will also be watching you, what you are doing. So you have to work very smart. You have to work very smart. You have to work very, very professionally. You have to ensure, yes, you have been given a task of making a menu. The first thing you do is, before planning a menu, is check for the ingredients available. Then check for your staff, your batchmates, or if you yourself are doing the cooking, what are your skills, you know, what you can make good, you know. And accordingly, you start making your menu. keeping in view the color combination of the dishes, keeping in view the food body of the dishes you are making. Food body, as I told you earlier, means it whether it is completely in gravy or semi-dry or it is dry. So this will go along with the color combinations. And the main punch is your tempering. How you do the tempering with proper recipes. That is going to enhance the taste bud of the dish. Right?
Yes, chef.
Now, when any food is cooked, you have to keep in mind 5 basic things when you are cooking any food item or when you are planning your menu. You should be aware of the basic recipe of that dish, number 1, because without the recipe or without the cooking skills, you cannot make a dish. So that is essential. Now, presentation and color is very, very important, as I told you. Once you have planned a menu with proper color combination, next thing that comes is the presentation. Presentation means how you are going to decorate your dish. What will be the top garnish of your dish? So for this, again, I will send some photographs on WhatsApp to the principal, and you can look at how actually we do it in the Lord's hotels, right? Then another thing is, apart from presentation and color, another thing is the aroma. Aroma means when a dish is cooked, it should give a pleasant smell, right? Then taste and flavor is very, very important. As I said, any spices, if you are adding, if it is less, it can be added more. But if you have made more of chilies, more of salt, more of turmeric, more of any spice, say hing or anything, you cannot get back. But if it is less, you can add on. So always ensure that the taste is perfect. If there is something less, maybe the salt or the chilies, they can be added, but it should never be more. So keep your hands tight, go as per the standard recipe, and accordingly do the seasoning of the dishes. Then while planning menu, the texture is also very, very important. The texture has to be adequate and proper. Then is the creativity. When I say creativity means, say you have made fish and chips. Now fish and chips is simply fried fish, fried karam fried fish served with tartar sauce and french fries. But creativity, when we talk about creativity, you all being professional people, since you are now in the hospitality institute, you should know how to present that particular dish in a serving platter or a serving bowl. You should know. So that creativity has to be done by you. How you are going to place those fried fish, how you are going to place the french fries, whether you want to just put it on top of it, you want to arrange it, you want to keep it in a small monkey bowl along with the fried fish, how you are going to do your plating, you are going to put some you are going to do some plating with, say, any chili oil or minty mayo, whatever it is. So plating presentation, top garnish, how you cut the things and put it in a plate, that is also very important. Sandwich, everyone knows sandwich is a very simple basic thing, a basic vegetable sandwich. But then,
Yes, sir.
you being professionals, you being from catering institute, you should know that if you have made a sandwich, then not necessary that you cut it into a triangle only. You can cut it in rectangular shape also. You can have a round cutter. You can cut it in a round shape also. And how you place it in a platter or a plate, that is where your creativity will be seen. So creativity plays a very, very important role, because basic cooking is one aspect, but presenting the food with proper presentation, with a style, with a modern style, it's something you have to work upon. And that is the creativity, applying your thoughts into actions on how you can present a particular item on a platter or a plate in such a way that it becomes eye appealing. I will be sharing few pics of few dishes on WhatsApp, and you can see for yourself this creativity and try to enhance your mental, knowledge, that all what you can do, how you can do something which can be eye appealing, right? Now, when I say taste and flavor are also very important. So taste, when I say, it means the taste can be sweet, the taste can be sour, it can be salty, it can be bitter, it can be umami. Now, who knows the word umami? Can anyone tell me? Yes, Dhruv. Umami. Umami is also a part of a taste, like sweet, sour, salty, bitter, spicy. So umami is basically a Japanese word meaning savory. Now, umami is a distinct type of taste which you get from tomato cooking, after cooking the tomatoes, or you get from soya sauce, or from this Chinese seasoning, what you call monosodium glutamate, or from mushrooms. The umami taste is a distinct taste which you get from only particular items. It can be a fish sauce, it can be from mushrooms, it can be from monosodium glutamate, the Chinese salt, what we say, Ajinomoto, which we used to use earlier. It can be from the soya sauce. It can be a hydrolyzed vegetable protein also. So basically, umami taste you get also from the stews. It can be a veg stew, it can be a meat stew, or if you have noticed the smell and pungency of yeast extract while making the breads, the yeast also gives a umami taste. So hope you have understood this thing.
Yes, chef.
So umami, hope you all will remember now.
Yes, chef.
Can anyone tell me what is umami?
Sir,
What
it's
is
a
umami?
savory taste.
So,
It's a savory taste
Savory.
like after cooking the tomato, what we are getting.
Okay, and it comes from where?
So basically Japanese word.
Okay, from where you get the umami taste? From which items?
Like after cooking the tomato.
What else? So many examples I have given you. Tell me. Can anyone tell? Be fast.
Sir, tomatoes, chef, tomatoes, mushrooms, and Chinese seasoning, and soy sauce, and same other thing.
Vegetable stews, meat stews.
Meat.
It can be
Meat.
from cheese, right?
Right.
Yes, chef.
So now another thing is the flavor. Now taste can be different, but when we say flavor, flavor means a combination of taste can be sweet, salty, umami, spicy, bitter.